Hi, my name is Ethan Benettan, and I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the document that we are calling the vendor agreement. It's also sometimes called the requirement for AI systems or the addendum. They're all talking about the same document, which you can find on the GovAI site in Microsoft Word or PDF formats. So the document was a product of the vendor agreement working group that included an amazing team from San Jose, including Albert and Layla and Matt under the direction of Khalid, as well as Anthony Fisher from the Colorado Department of Revenue, Emily Royal from the City of San Antonio, Office of Innovation, Ryan Kurtzman from the Long Beach Office of Technology and Innovation, and three of us from TriMet, Les Spittler, our Director of Supply Chain, Eric Van Hagen, our Director of Legal Services, and me, Ethan Benettan, our Chief Information Officer. So the purpose of this agreement of the document is to give you a solid starting place to use when you are contracting for goods or services that have an AI component. So let's say you're buying a video management system and there's some AI component in there. So there's probably some binding overall agreement contract that you're going to start with, either one that comes from the agency or one that comes from the vendor. And so what you can do is you can take this document that we're going to walk through, you'll need to customize it, and you attach it as an addendum to that agreement. Every situation is different, so you might want to strike some pieces or change some pieces. And I should say that, of course, I'm not a lawyer and I'm definitely not your lawyer. So you want your lawyer to give you good advice. I'm going to share what I know, but it's probably worth what you're paying for it. And you probably need a legal counsel to advise you on your contracts. I'm not going to say that again. So I'm going to go ahead and share the document with you and walk through it a little bit. So here it goes. You'll notice that this is the PDF version of the document, and it actually includes, let me zoom out here a little bit, some comments that will help point you at some useful things that you can do there. It starts off with some square brackets for things that we know that you're going to replace, like numbers and the name of your agency. So search and replace these obvious kinds of things. And then I want you to notice right up front, it started off with some really sharp teeth in this document. Now, you may decide these are too sharp for you, but that's where we started. The first one is that this takes precedence over other items in your contract. And the other one is that failure to comply would be a material breach of the contract as a whole. And so what this is doing is basically saying to you and the vendor that if you don't hold up by these terms, whatever the consequences of a material breach in your jurisdiction and your contract would be, those would apply. At the very least, that would probably give you an easy way to exit without penalty. It may give you more. Some more teeth right up front that you should notice is that we put in a really strong language around indemnify, defend, and hold harmless. And one of the things that does is, let's say that the AI does something bad and you get sued, then what would happen is that the vendor would actually have to defend you and also hold you harmless and indemnify you. That's very powerful language. You may want to strike this because it's covered elsewhere in your agreement. Or the vendor may object to it. They probably will, but we wanted you to have the best, most protective language that you could have in there as a starting point. You can always start to back away from that. So the document is designed to work with other documents as part of an integrated system. So for example, you'll see in the definitions section here, we use the federal definitions of AI, and they're cited here in the footnote. We also, as part of this package that the GovAI Coalition has put together, we offer you an AI policy and document, and that would let you describe the principles that you want to apply. We've given you some ideas for that, and we're incorporating that into this document. So that would automatically invoke your particular guiding principles as into this document. Under the risk mitigation section, what we're doing is calling for the vendor to clearly represent that their product is actually suitable for the use that you're buying it for, and that they will comply with applicable laws and regulations, and that they will work with us to evaluate and manage risk. There's a section here on an incident, and excuse me. We define an incident here, but there's better information in the AI incident response plan also available from the GovAI coalition. And basically what we're saying is that we're binding the vendor to be part of an incident response in which they have to thoroughly investigate and report the findings. Then they may have some remediation responsibilities. And so we are calling for an off switch, which means that if you decide that service is not suitable for you, you can turn it off. In the obvious case, right, where maybe a whole system is based on an AI, that might mean they have to stop the function. But in some cases, and we don't know how frequently that'll be, but it may be that there's some small part of a system that uses AI, and you might be able to turn that off. So you may, for instance, have that video management system, and maybe there's some feature in there that recognizes things, and we want to be able to say, hey, you have to be able to turn that off. Not a given that they would, so we're requiring them to be able to do that. Also, if we determine that it's not working for some reason to meet the principles that we require of it, we're requiring them to respond to that, and they can respond to it by turning that function off, by changing it so that it complies, or providing that capability in some other way. And then the last thing in the document are these 10 specific requirements that we're spelling out. And so we're requiring the vendor, first of all, to attest to their fact sheet, which is described in a separate document, which really forms the basis of our shared understanding of what the system is and how it works. And that's where the vendors had to write that down. So here we're saying they're attesting that the information that they gave us is true. And they're committing to tell us regularly if they make changes to the system that would change what we determined in the fact sheet, so that they can't just like fill it in on when they don't even have a system, or when it's brand new, change how it works and then never tell us again. They have to keep us apprised of how it's working. The system has to actually work appropriately, and we have to have means to monitor it. We also have to make sure that bias is being appropriately represented and managed, that there is a way to have human oversight of it, and that we understand how it works. If we ask them to, they have to find a way to inform end users that it's being used, ideally at the point of service. And the contractor has to apply with all the laws for data access and appeals related to the use or operation of the system. They have to have performance monitoring that's available to us, and they have to keep up with it. They have to provide appropriate training. This document just says it has to be available. It doesn't say they have to provide it. That would be something else you would have in the contract. So that we can actually use the system correctly, including protecting sensitive information, mitigating bias, and so on. And lastly, they are committing for us to audit their compliance with any of these. So that's a quick, very fast tour of the requirements for AI systems, which would be the contractual legal component that would bind a vendor into the rest of the system. Of course, as always, we are very happy for any input that you have on how to make this better, and we hope it serves you really well.